I mean, at the core, I think what I am is I'm a pro-human environmental philosopher. So I want us to relate to our environment in a way that benefits us, which doesn't at all mean we're hostile to the rest of nature, but we have a pro-human relationship with the rest of nature. Let's just take the issue of climate, right? The idea that in the 1800s, we had a perfect climate, right? We had 270, 280 parts per million of CO2. That was somehow perfect. And we ruined the climate. And now the climate is angry at us. And therefore, we're experiencing unprecedented climate death and damage. Okay, well, let's look at headlines from the 1800s and early 1900s, where in a given year, millions of Chinese people will die because of a famine caused by a drought. And drought-related deaths are regularly under 10,000 per year now. Drought-related death has gone down by over 99% over the last century.
Where's the headline?
Right, where's the headline? It should be every day that we should...
we did it again.
Exactly, like fossil fuels
Less people dead.
made us safer than ever from climate once again. But the same thing is true with... when you just think of it common sense, oh yeah, I guess there's always drought, but if you have irrigation and crop transport, then drought isn't that big a problem. And oh, by the way, both of those things take energy. Or storms. Oh, wait, storms used to just totally wipe people out. I mean, one example I think of is the same storm that now could be like we live in Laguna Beach, so we don't have many storms. But like, let's say we visit the DC area, which we're just visiting, and there's a storm like that could be a romantic evening with my wife and me, right? And the same storm would have wiped out a town.
Let's light a candle.
Well, not even the power, though, right? Even the power requires a certain amount of dysfunction to lose the power at this point. I mean, we can be so resilient. I mean, we have people who can keep the electricity on in Singapore. They can keep it on in Africa. They can keep it on in Antarctica. You just see that what really matters for the climate is naturally barely livable. And what matters is our degree of mastery. And you see this for our whole environment. Again, so you can take the idea that, I put it as fossil fuels didn't take a safe climate and make it dangerous. They took a dangerous climate and made it safe. And it's the same thing for resources. People think, nature gave us all these resources and then we've just squandered them. And now we've eaten all the slices of pizza, and now we have to eat the box, and we're all gonna die, right? And it's no, wait a second, like the cavemen, there were very few of them, and they had very few usable resources, and now we have too many resources to the point where we're all getting fat. Like that's our problem in terms of food resources.
Oh man.
So present company excluded, of course.
Well, it's nice of you to say, but I'm just chuckling because this just came up. Green and climate is macro. Littering and some forms of pollution with a small p is micro, And so it's like when I think about that Keep America Beautiful campaign with the Weeping Indian, that wasn't an attempt to get people to think about the climate and to avoid an apocalypse that's supposedly coming in 12 years. That was an attempt to pick up your frickin' big gulp.
Yeah.
Right?
But I would say the anti-littering thing is actually not a subset of the anti-impact movement.
Yeah, go with that for a minute.
Because so the littering example would be, well, obviously we want an environment that minimizes ugliness, let alone waste that could harm us. But by the same token, just as we want to let's say minimize, because you can't always eliminate healthily these kinds of things, but you want to minimize that kind of contamination. You also want to minimize the contamination of nature, which is massive, including you want to minimize the danger of infectious diseases, including you want to take advantage of technologies such as vaccines and antibiotics where they are in fact net beneficial, which I think is the vast majority of the time.
Yeah.
So it's you have to have you're thinking about, I want the world to be an amazing place for human beings to live. And to me, the mistake people make, which I think this will probably resonate with you, is they have this separation of the human as sort of unnatural and not our environment.
Yeah, like we're not part of the chain.
Right, we're not. And I think of it as, no, us building, this no, I didn't build this podcast studio, but you guys building this podcast studio is like a bird building a nest. And that's you making your environment better. And just as it would be absurd to say it's bad for the bird's environment to make a nest, or it's bad for the beaver's environment to make a dam, it's absurd to say for a human, it's bad for our environment to have roads, it's bad for our environment to have factories. But that's what they say. They use the term the environment because they want to separate environment from the species that's thinking about their environment. And I never use the environment. I always use our environment because I'm stressing whether it's a factory or a beautiful ocean, it's all there for us to enjoy. That's what that's how we should, not that somebody gave it to us, but that's how we should think of it. Like, I don't like that. But people's view of the delicate nurturer is really the delicate nurturer that is civilization. Like, that's what they really are counting on.
That's what look, well-intended people can be equally passionate and certain about one of two things. They can be passionate and certain that their mission is to save the earth, because without it we have nothing, or they can be urgent and passionate about getting an industrial revolution to the 3 billion people who haven't had one yet, thereby increasing everybody's odds for a different level of flourishing. But again, it's just back to what's the price? What is going to happen to the earth if we
it'll get better. So I think of that second one as improving the earth. Like, they want to save the earth from human beings. I want to keep improving the earth for human beings. Yeah. So I don't think of it as, they're not saving anything. They're just regressing. I mean, they're not. It's such a perverse view because, I mean, people hold it innocently, but ultimately the view that human impact is a bad thing to be eliminated, that's one of the most evil views ever. It's intrinsically wrong for us to change the earth. It's just as if there's a commandment, thou shalt not impact the earth. And it's so evil because it singles out humans as a uniquely evil source of impact. Like, they're not against beaver impact or bear impact or lion impact. And they don't even seem to care that much when sort of inanimate nature, like climate and storms and stuff, ruin things. Their sole focus is human impact. So if you saw a creature like this, but instead of being against human impact, they were against bear impact, you would think this is a perverse person. Like, you have it out for the bears. Like, your whole goal in, like, I'm an anti-bearist, right? And they're like, they want to, like, I don't like the way that bears are impacting the forest, and I don't like the way they move around. And obviously this person wants to kill all the bears, right? If they're against bear impact, that means if you're against impact, you're against the thing. And you think, like, why do you have this bear, I don't know the right thing, but bearanthropy, right? I'm making up a term, right? No, it wouldn't be bearanthropy. Miss Bear. Okay, I can't. You know what I mean? Like the equivalent of misanthrope.
A misanthrope or a misogynist.
But they're a
barragynist. You got yourself a barragynist.
So somebody's
right there.
Gonna in the comments put a much better version of this because I never came up with this.
Count on it.
The bearist equivalent of the misanthrope you'd think was insane, and yet we think it's normal to hate the impact of our own species. And It's not about loving anything else. I was on Jordan Peterson's podcast, and we had a long discussion about this because he was thinking of it, I think, more as the Greens just want the earth to be green. But then he pointed out, wait a second, why don't they like it that CO2 has made the earth a lot greener? And my point is, they're not about a green earth. They're about a dehumanized earth. And if earth on its own becomes greener, they're okay with that. But if dehumanizing earth makes the earth browner, they're thrilled with that too. So it's really the brown movement because they're against human life, which makes the earth a lot greener.
So this is weird, dude. I did a special, an unauthorized Dirty Job special, probably 10 years ago.
Who authorizes or unauthorizes dirty jobs besides you?
Well, there's this network I work for, and they had many, many chiefs. And
I see.
My favorite one was called Brown Before Green. And I used a pig farmer who actually said that to me. He went on a rant. This is Bob Combs in Vegas. He's like, what's with green, man? I mean, why green? It's such a stupid color. And I'm like, what do you mean? He says, what? I mean, yellow like the sun? Sure. Blue like the seas? Right. But green? The color of rot? Gangrene, the color of money, the color of envy.
Well, money is good.
Like, but I
guess it's not even real money. Gold is real money.
Yeah, right.
But we started to riff, and he's like,
hilarious.
look, every single thing that's green grows from something brown.
If you like what you heard,
and even if you don't,
won't you please,
pretty please, subscribe. Well, I hate to beg and I hate to plead, but please, Pretty freaking please. Please.